morning, Kevin. It's the first Tuesday of the month, 7th of March, and it's Reserve Bank Day.
What are they going to do today? Gee, I think the world is waiting with bated breath. No, they're not. We know exactly what the redundant Bank of Australia are going to do. They're going to sit on their hands until it's quite obvious that they have to do something. And that's why they're known in the industry as too little, too late bank. But I call them the redundant Bank of Australia because no matter what they do, the banking monopoly are ignoring them. The banking monopoly have got about $13 billion of your money. Why are they the redundant Bank of Australia? Because the banks ignore them. When the rates come down, the banks don't bring theirs down in concert. Prior to Rudd, every treasurer rang the banks and insisted they pass these cuts on. Since Rudd, we've had Swan, we've had Hockey, we've got our current fella, Morrison. They don't pick up the phone. So what are the banks doing? They're sitting on money they should give to you. What would you do if you had another $13 billion in your pockets? You'd spend it and you'd create jobs. And so the government doesn't know what the problem is. The problem is a banking monopoly. So Mr. Morrison, get on the phone. And we have another problem. The redundant Bank of Australia is unaware that APRA are causing a shortage of supply. On the weekend I was told there's only 11,000 properties for sale in Sydney. And oh my gosh, what can we do to stop the rising prices in Sydney? Well, it's bananas really. Bring on more bananas. How simple is that? So, in summary, what are the Reserve Bank going to do? Nothing, because they're the redundant Bank of Australia. What's our Treasurer going to do? Nothing. So does that mean he's a redundant Treasurer of Australia? What are the Labor opposition going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. We've currently got an inquiry in Parliament where our CEOs are shaking their boots because the parliamentarians are up there ready to hit them with the lettuce leaf. No one's going to point out the fact, except ASIC, that the banks can pass these reductions on. The banks are getting lower and lower cost of funds, and their cost of funds actually are fixed for 10 years, would you know? 10 years, low rates for longer. But are they telling you that? No, they're telling you lies.
So Kevin, what should Philip Lowe be doing with interest rates today?
Well, he should pick up the phone and say to the banks, we're not cutting rates, but we want you to pass on all the previous cuts. But he's not going to do that. So the banks are squeezing investors, which we know is squeezing the number of bananas coming into the store. So only in the property club are we taking advantage of this real shortage of stock.
So Kevin, what will he do with interest rates today?
The RBA have done nothing. They've sat on the rate of 1.5%. And the RBA in their note will mention that there's unemployed out there, but they'll only put in one line, and they won't mention there's 2 million people underemployed, 2 million people who want to spend more money. He won't mention that APRA are causing a shortage of bananas in the store. He won't put a link between that and rising prices in Sydney. Once, Sydney would have slowed down by now because there'd be more bananas in the store. But if you're a builder, you can't get seed investors. APRA have said no, don't get seed investors. What I can predict is the property prices will continue to rise because there's a lack of bananas.
All right, well, let's wait and see what Philip Lowe announces this afternoon. Unchanged.
So there's the results of this afternoon's call. There you go. Can we do the same thing with horse racing?